All right, this is my second time trying to do this video. Actually, it's funny. I hate it when people say that because I'm like, no, wait, what happened in the first time? But the first time my mom was just like doing stuff. It was kind of loud. So, yeah. Anyways, let's just get started. Okay, so I already read this, so it's kind of annoying but I only read some of it. So, okay. The 4 laws of fatness that pretty much everyone misunderstands. I'm gonna go like rule by rule. We don't know what makes people fat. Diet and exercise don't predict weight. Studies don't bear out the calories in, calories out thing. That's just an oversimplification of the second law of thermodynamics. I don't know why I have these in. I don't need them. At least okay, yes, I did this when I read it the first time. At the very least, they are genetic, hormonal, psychiatric, and environmental factors at play. Bodies are not an Excel formula. They're complicated. So my response to that is that I haven't been in any kind of science class in 3 years. So I can't say much about the law of thermodynamics. I mean, I know what it is. I know of it. I know that it is a thing. And I know that it is used to explain things like, people will say like physics, like if somebody's eating a bunch of food, it's going to pull them, or gravity. I don't know, something like that. Like when somebody claims that they eat 1,200 calories, but they're 300 pounds overweight, and they have been, for a while, people say, well, like, how is that's literally impossible? And in my opinion, it is usually, but there's not much that I can say again with this kind of person who doesn't believe in calories in, calories out. I would ask them for their sources as to why that's not true and how that doesn't work, because it does work for many people. Just look at the Reddit's, calories in, calories out, Cisco, literally on Reddit, which shows a lot of people who have lost weight through it, and then just look at another Reddit, I forgot what it's called, but it's like where people have gone from fit to fat, and it shows reverse weight loss. But also there's other ones where like weight gain Reddits, where it's like people who are really, really skinny gained weight, and usually I feel like they've done that through eating a lot more calories. And stuff like that. But I do agree, genetic, hormonal, psychiatric, I guess, environmental, like these are all factors that I feel that I should say have how do I say this? Have take part in how somebody eats and how somebody treats their body, because genetic, yes, there are certain, things that you can get like PCOS, thyroid, and other stuff like that. I personally don't want to talk too much about that because I don't know about those. I have my own opinion about it. It's an uneducated one. I've referenced it in other videos. I've never been through any of those things, but I just want to say that having those those problems does not make it impossible to lose weight. The keyword impossible. Hormonal, that has to do with women and everything. Psychiatric, like there are some, like there was this British television show I was watching where these people just can't stop eating, like they're very hungry all the time, and it's obvious that they have also an intellectual disability as well. It's actually really sad to watch because it's like their parents are trying to do everything they can, and it's like these people, they have no self-awareness, and I think they kind of do, but they also just can't control it. Like, and I'm not saying that, I think it's literally like a problem. Like I might link the episode down below, but like their parents are literally the only ones who could stop them from eating. And so that's it. I would say that that's kind of psychiatric, like, but it's at the end of the day, it's still the food that's making them overweight because they can't stop eating and they keep eating and they're always hungry, which is awful. And that sucks, that I would hate to have that disease where I'm always hungry and I never know when I'm actually need to eat and when I don't, but it's still caused, their weight is still caused by food. And environmental factors, that's like being in an environment where people tend to eat a lot of food. Like in America, obviously people tend to eat a lot. I mean, in other countries too, there's a lot of shows about obesity in Britain and other places like that. But let's say like you live, like a lot of people say, why are French people so skinny? But it's just because like in the environment, most people are walking there. They're not eating that much food. It's not always just baguettes and all that stuff. So yes, the environment does matter in how much people eat. So I'd say that they're right about this. But I just say, like, my question is, what do they mean by this if they're not talking about the amount of food that somebody eats, the amount of calories that somebody eats? How can somebody's weight be environmental if we're not factoring in calories? Like, how can somebody just gain weight from an environment? I would like to hear like more explanation on this, because I don't want to just be stupid and be like, oh, like, do the trees make you fat? I don't think that that's what this person is saying, but it's like, you would have to factor in eating and overeating and calories if you're going to be talking about especially environmental and genetic, not genetic, but environmental, but whatever. All right. 2, there is no lifestyle intervention proven to cause weight loss. Let me read that again. There is no lifestyle intervention proven to cause weight loss. Exercise doesn't lead to weight loss for most people. Diets don't work. Fasting doesn't work. Keto doesn't work. A lot of studies find in the short term losses, 2 kilograms in 2 months is fairly common, but no long-term results across large groups have ever been established. Surgery is moderately effective, but hasn't been proven to improve health outcomes. Okay. So you say there's no lifestyle intervention proven to cause weight loss. And then in parentheses, you say, well, these diets do cause people to lose, 2 kilograms in 2 months. So you're wrong, kind of. I mean, you even in this small example, you're kind of wrong. You know what I'm saying? And it's, again, I feel like these people who make these kinds of posts just kind of, they just have a blind spot when it comes to the many people who have lost weight and kept it off. Like, I feel like they just ignore them or just don't think about them. Like, what about them? Didn't they prove that there is a lifestyle intervention that can cause weight loss? Many people have lost weight and kept it off. There are many people who've lost weight and gained it back, and I am one of those people, so I'm not going to say that those people don't exist. A lot of them do exist. I don't know which one's more. I think it's more that people gain the weight back. But it's just kind of a little bit ridiculous to say that, like, none of these things cause weight loss when they do, in fact, do. It's just the way that it's handled after. Exercise, I would say, they're kind of right in this regard, because while exercise kind of, you lose calories when you're exercising, you have to exercise a lot, like athlete level, before you lose like a substantial amount of calories that could outweigh if you're eating bad. But if you're eating healthy and you're eating less calories, exercising will help, but I think it only helps when it's complemented with dieting. I mean, I think it helps regardless, because it has other benefits rather than just helping you to lose weight. But it has been proven, and I've seen in many cases, that exercise is not the only thing that will help you lose weight. It's not. Yeah, it's mainly diet. Like right now for me, I'm working on mainly changing my lifestyle intervention, rather than exercise. But I am going to start focusing on that as well, because I know that I just genuinely want to be a more active person, not even just because of weight loss, but just because I really enjoy being active and stuff like that. And what I've said in the past, diets do work, fasting does work, keto does work, but it's just the people who fail. And I don't mean that in a mean way. I really don't. I failed. I would fail with keto. I would fail with fasting, and I have failed with fasting. I've never done keto because it's just too much. It's too strict for me. Like, I don't like keto, and I've said this in the past before, but many people have done it and it's worked for them and they've lost the weight. I just don't think it's sustainable, and it's gonna, that people should do it. But if it's sustainable for them, then that's great. But I just think that people should be doing diets that are sustainable and that they can have for a lifetime, rather than diets that are just quick, And for me, I do fast. I do intermittent fasting, I would say, but I don't purposely do it. Like, I haven't set out to do it, but it kind of just happens because I don't eat breakfast, and then I go to work, and I work really early in the morning. So I don't wake up early enough to make breakfast for myself. And so then and usually my break is around 12. And so I fast until 12. And I see that it kind of works for me because, my last 2 meals, I have to, like, it's a little annoying because I kind of have to eat them really quickly because, like they're so close together to each other. So it's actually kind of annoying that I fast. I don't really like that I do it, but I just don't give myself time in the morning to eat breakfast, and I don't really want to, so I do. But the thing is that these things do work. Like, is this person just saying that if somebody fasts for like a day or two, they're not going to lose any weight, nothing is going to happen? And maybe by saying don't work, they just mean that it doesn't work in the long term, because, you know, they do mention long term. They just weren't that clear about it in the beginning of the rule. But these things, I would say that most fad diets do not work in the long term, because, and the thing is, because the reason they don't work in the long term is because they're not meant to be long term. And that usually after somebody's done the fad diet, they move to eating intuitively enough for themselves, or doing this, or gaining the weight back, which is what usually happens, in my opinion. But with keto, I feel like people aren't meant to stay on keto forever. I don't think that's what's meant to happen. I think it's meant to only be for a little bit until that person loses all the weight, and then they just go back to eating regularly, but eat like minimal amount of calories. That's why calories in, calories out works, you know, because it's looking simply at calories, not at the food you're eating. You know, like there was a documentary someone made where all they ate was McDonald's or something, or Twinkies, I don't know, something like that, and they lost weight. And the thing is that they probably were tortured, because you probably have to eat like 3 Twinkies a day or 5, and then that's it, and then you would be starving, you know, because the thing is that if you're eating less calories than you're burning, you're going to lose weight no matter what the calories are. But eating calorie dense foods with a lot of calories in it is not going to work in your favor, because it's going to end up going through your body really quickly, and you're going to be starving. You know, like if I eat a slice of pizza rather than eating a bowl of vegetables, you know, which one is going to keep me full for longer? You know what I'm saying? And it's because the vegetables can be a lot more in quantity rather than a slice of pizza. A slice of pizza can literally be 400 calories rather than 400 calories of vegetables, which would be like a whole huge plate, you know, which I probably wouldn't even be able to finish all of that. But yeah, that's why calories in, calories out works. And that's why these diets work, because they focus on lessening the amount of calories you eat. Fasting does it because you have only a certain window of time to eat so much food. And even when I did like a couple weeks, like for months, I still gained weight. Like even though I fasted, because I would just eat a bunch of calorie dense foods like pizza, McDonald's, cookies, Cheetos, all those kinds of stuff at night, because I'd be hungry because I had not eaten anything in the morning and stuff like that. And so yeah, fasting doesn't have to always work. Like there's many things, like keto doesn't have to work. Someone could eat too much calories on keto. But really the reason that keto is supposed to work is because of ketosis and all that crap. But it's really also because you're not eating any carbs, and carbs have a lot of calories as well. And it's kind of lessening the amount of calories you eat. Like each of these diets that this person mentioned, in any diet, that's what it's mainly doing, is lessening the calories. But you guys already know that. But yeah, diets do work, but they don't work in the long term. And I feel like people need to learn a healthier way of eating, or do the diet, I guess, if you want to, for a little bit, and then go into a sustainable lifestyle. But yeah, surgery is effective as well for a lot of people, and it helps them. But the thing is that someone can't just get surgery and then just go back to eating the way they were eating. The point of many of the surgeries is that the person has to eat less, because sometimes their stomach is made to be smaller, you know. So yeah, it's not going to work in the long term if that person just goes back to eating as much as they were eating before. And a lot of overweight people do that, which is not what you're supposed to do. So yeah, I would say that surgery is very effective if you do it the right way. Just like all these other diets are effective if you do them the right way, you know. But it's hard to do them the right way when their focus is to restrict you in a way that could hurt you and be debilitating, you know. So that's why I always suggest a lifestyle change, which, you know, fat activists are annoyed to hear, because they're like, it's just a diet anyway, you know. But any way you eat is a diet. I was on the American diet for many years. So yeah, okay. Fatness is a very poor proxy for health outcomes. There are so many better ways to predict someone's cardiovascular risk. Heart rate, exercise regularly, grip strength. Yes, seriously, because that seems ridiculous. If you account for any of these, the relevance of weight goes out the window. Okay, I don't want to spend too much time on this stuff because I just spent a lot of time on this because there was a lot to unpack with number 2. So I guess what they're saying is like when it comes to like seeing somebody's like heart, the risk of their heart rate, and exercise regularity. Oh my God, I was like, exercise regularly. There's no way they're promoting that. Now I see. And grip strength. So I'd say like I don't know much about cardiovascular stuff. I mean, I learned like a very minimal amount in PE when I was in middle school. So like I've said, like this channel is mainly for entertainment. It's not completely for educational purposes. It's just like me trying to talk, like trying to logically respond to this stuff because I'm just interested in it, and I just want to see where these people are coming from. Like I'm kind of a person who believes in looking at the other side of the people that you disagree with and seeing if you really do disagree with them or if you don't, you know. And I try not to be very stubbornly defiant and just disagree with everything. I think there's a couple posts that I've agreed with, or at least there's parts of it I have agreed with. I'm not just going to disagree with somebody because they're posted on r/fatlogic and it's seeming that they're wrong. You know, I'm gonna, you know, most of the things on here are just the same load of, you know, crap that everybody else says that I don't agree with, and that's why I call it a load of crap. But you know, there are some things out there that, you know, I do believe and I do agree with. But as far as this, I would say that, you know, maybe fatness doesn't have to be the hugest way to predict somebody's cardiovascular risk or whatever it is, I guess, but it is a factor. I would say it definitely is a factor, because, you know, I feel like all that fat is on that person's heart and it's not good for them. And many people who are fat have heart attacks and have heart problems, you know. So it's there, and that's all I can really say about that because I'm not a doctor and I don't know much stuff about it. All the alleged harms of fatness may be accounted for by stigma, dieting, and eating disorders. Fat people are discriminated against in job interviews. Fat people are often ostracized in social groups. Fat people are less likely to be tested for serious diseases by their doctors. Fat people are more likely to diet, which leads to weight cycling, a well-established health risk. Fat people are more likely to develop an eating disorder, which is devastating to anyone's mental and physical health. Fat people will just be fine if the world wasn't constantly trying to change them. No, they wouldn't. I'm so sorry, I'm making so many disgusting sounds. I just woke up and that's usually what happens. I'm going to be a great significant other. But what I would say is like, no, fat people would not be fine if the world wasn't trying to change them. But what I will say is that I agree with, I mean, these days, fat people being discriminated against job interviews, I don't know. I mean, if you're going to be going for a construction job and you're 400 pounds, it's like, should you really do that? And it's also the same way for somebody who's like really skinny. Like, is that really going to work out for you? You know, but that's just my opinion. But like, yeah, so I feel like in these days that doesn't really happen. Fat people are discriminated. It does probably, obviously, you know, but I just feel like it's not as on a larger scale. And yes, fat people are often ostracized in social groups. I agree with that. I think that fat people are less likely to be treated for diseases by their doctors. I think that is changing as well, but you know, that's just malpractice. And I'm not going to say that there aren't instances where doctors just purely look at a person who's overweight and just see that. They don't think of anything else. But there are a lot of cases where them being overweight is a very important factor into what they have. And the overweight person is just mad that they're focused on just that, even though it is an important factor. Fat people are more likely to diet, which leads to weight cycling, which is a health risk. It is. Yo-yo dieting is not very good for the body. Fat people are more likely to develop an eating disorder, yes, which is devastating one's mental and physical health. Yes, that's true. Most of these things are true. You know, obviously I have some caveats to a couple of them, the ones I just mentioned, but that does not mean that fat people should not lose weight. Just because it is possible for me to get an eating disorder, it is possible for me to be treated badly by my doctor, it's possible for me to be discriminated against in interviews, does not mean that I shouldn't lose weight. I guess what they're saying is that since fat people are going through all this discrimination, that that's like the discrimination is focused on the goal of weight loss. And since these bad things, weight loss comes from these bad things, weight loss is just bad overall, which I disagree with. Weight loss is at least in the case of overweight people going from very obese to a normal weight in a healthy way, it is good. And it is possible, and it can happen. It has happened a lot of times. There are also a lot of times where somebody has gone from an obese to very underweight and having an eating disorder and very skinny and sickly, and that is not good. And many times that someone has died, I mean, from trying to lose weight, because they became really skinny or they really dieted off a weight, took a diet pill, all those things. So there is a lot of bad things that comes around when it comes to losing weight and dieting, obviously from the diet industry and other stuff like that. But that does not mean that losing weight is bad in and of itself. It's just the things that we put around it, and the stuff that society has put around it that make it bad, that can make it bad. You know what I'm saying? But there are a lot of good information and education out there that I've learned. I have never been to a nutritionist. I've never been to a personal trainer. The only thing that I've had that's even close to that is Noom, which has helped me a lot in losing weight. And I stand by Noom. It's not perfect, but I like it a lot. And Noom is like an app that helps people lose weight, if you don't know what I'm talking about. But there was still a lot of stuff that I knew before Noom. Really Noom is just kind of reinforcing those things and reminding me, because I let myself forget a lot of the things that I learn, through the internet and stuff like that. And there's a lot of misinformation out there, but I feel like it's so, like, a lot of these fat activists think that just because people have lost weight in the wrong ways a lot and have been sick and, weight cycling and all that, it just means that weight loss is just bad and it shouldn't be done. But I heavily disagree with that, because fat people are worse off losing weight and having, eating disorders and stuff than also having an eating disorder, binge eating disorder, and being overweight, because there is eating disorder that causes people to be obese, so yeah. Fat people are more likely to develop an eating disorder, and that the eating disorder is usually binge eating disorder, so yeah. And I guess a fat person could argue that binge eating disorder comes from shame and stuff like that, but it comes from a lot of things that happen in a person's life, and it's not good for them. And fat people would not be fine if people weren't trying to change them. Like, I guess they're probably talking about like the obesity day and, the CDC trying to all that stuff with obesity and trying to eliminate it, which doesn't mean eliminate obese people. I think that that's what fat activists think. Like, we're trying to eliminate you. We're not. We're just trying to help you become healthier, but if you don't want that, that's fine. But don't go spewing out miseducating people and just saying that they'll be completely fine if they're overweight. No, you won't. You're not going to be good if you're overweight. You're not going to be good. And just because people lose weight in unhealthy ways all the time doesn't mean that you're fine just being overweight and whatever. But let's see. In the short term, there's no scientific basis at all for trying to lose weight. So be fat, eat in public, flirt, go to the pool, jump on trampolines, wear tight clothes, travel. Science says there's nothing wrong with you. That's wrong. I hope you never lose a pound. That was the weird part of this post. I was like, what? Because that's the first thing that I read. That's so weird, like, to say to somebody. Like, people also just normally their weight can just fluctuate naturally, even with them not trying to lose weight. But I feel like they're trying to say this, like, I hope you never lose a pound, in a way that's like through diet or weight loss or trying, which is kind of like, oh, like, I don't like that. Also comes a little bit from jealousy, in my opinion. But I don't know this person, so I don't want to say that. But there's a lot of scientific evidence for weight loss being a good thing and for being overweight being a bad thing, but this person doesn't believe in that. So yeah. Anyways, I spent a lot of time on this post. But so yeah, let's look at some other ones. This one, I kind of saw, I didn't really get it, so I'm not going to look at that one. Okay. If we are all going to die regardless, so stupid. Why do we need to be thin? For the past week, it seems that there's been an excessive amount of fat phobia on here. Is that what that means? I don't know. You could die in a car crash today, but as long as you're skinny, right? Just eat y'all chicken breast and broccoli in silence. How about you just eat whatever unhealthy food you're eating in silence? You know, and I'm making a huge assumption here, but I believe I'm correct. And I'm only saying that because you said that. Okay. Okay, so my response to this, okay, sorry. My response to this is yes, you can die from anything. You know, I could die from, like, sometimes whenever I, like, around here, I hear a lot of like plane sounds and like weird like ambulance sounds all the time, and they're really loud. And, you know, sometimes I'm like, oh, is Russia blowing us up? Am I about to die? You know, and that's me obviously being very paranoid. But, you know, I could die at any moment. I could cross the street and die. I think about it. I could, you know, accidentally be pushed in front of a train. I could trip. Actually, I'm now realizing just how many times I think about the fact that I could die at any moment, you know, but it doesn't stress me out. What stresses me out is getting old and then dying, because that's when I actually am going to die, probably. But just because just because you're going to die does not mean, or that you can die anytime, does not mean that you shouldn't focus on your health. Do you want to die? And I bet if I asked a person this, they would say no, they don't want to die. You know, and their argument would be like, well, but I could die. And it's like, yeah, you could die. So you want to heighten the risks of that you could die and gain weight and not care about your health because you could just die at any moment. So why do you care? Why do we care about life then? Why should I get a fulfilling job? Why should I have children? Why should I do any of that if I could just die at any moment? This argument can be used for so many things rather than just being overweight. Like, this is just really dumb. Like, we do things in life because we want purpose. As humans, we do. You know, animals, their purpose is to just live and eat and procreate and create more animals. You know, they don't really have a purpose, you know, but they're cute. You know, dogs cute, cats cute, whatever. They're pets, whatever. They have personalities, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, yeah, we're all gonna die. Just a fact. Does not mean that we shouldn't live life and try to improve ourselves and try to live for as long as we can, you know, because that's what happens when you are healthy, you know. But I think that let me kind of be a little bit nicer to this person. They might be saying that people are kind of breaking their backs, you know, to be skinny rather than healthy. And it's like, what's the point? You're gonna die anyway. But then also it's like, I feel like them relating death to this argument is saying that, like, people, they're responding to people who've said that you can die from being overweight. So it's like, that's why it's kind of hard for me to focus on them just focusing on people who just really want to be skinny and not healthy, you know? But let's just give the benefit of the doubt and say that they're saying this to people who just focus on being skinny and not healthy. What I would say is that I do agree, you know, that some people go to extreme lengths, and it's really not that serious to become skinny and not healthy. Because in my opinion, I don't think you need to go to extreme lengths to become healthy. I think it just takes making small, you know, steps and habits. But I used to think in the past that it did take that, and I was uneducated and I didn't know. And the thing is that I wish that everybody could know what I know now and more, because I have so much more to learn, you know. But yeah, this is just very illogical. Like, I definitely can see a logical fallacy in here. I just can't pinpoint it because I am not that educated on logical fallacies, but it's here. Okay. Oh yeah, this person. Okay. I don't even like, so Lindo Bacon, just, that's a funny last name. It's like this person who, like, I don't know, supports fat people or something. I don't know. I've seen a couple videos about her, but I don't really remember her. I just know that she has short brown hair. Okay. Lindo exploits fat people, especially Black and brown fat femmes, for their own financial gain, just like the white slaves and slave owners of old. There is no difference. Everyone in the Hayes space who continues to support them or does them the absolute least to provide some sort of criticism. Wait. Let me read this. Everybody in the health at every size space who continues to support them or does the absolute least to provide some sort of criticism are no better than the white folks who feel bad about slavery but continue to engage with it anyway. Yes, I said it. So you're literally saying that supporting a person who I guess supposedly exploits black people and brown people is the same as literally being a bystander to slavery. That is such a huge reach. And she's on your side, guys. I actually would like to hear how she exploits these people, because I would like to know. I'd like to be educated on that, but I also don't care. But for this particular argument, I don't want to be, talking, and maybe she is actually exploiting black people and stuff. I mean, I believe that, she's definitely, I wouldn't say exploiting fat people. I feel like she's miseducating fat people for her own personal gain, not for financial gain. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like they're making such this huge comparison so that people actually care about it. If they just said Lindo exploits fat people, especially black and brown people, for their own financial gain without the stuff about slavery, this wouldn't even be on here, because they only want to reference slavery and that stuff and bring it back so that people care. And that's really messed up and really wrong. And actually you're exploiting slavery, and maybe that's not the right term to use, but please do not use an awful practice that went on for years to black people to talk about a person who is stupid, and who is being dumb. Like, come on. Like, that's really ridiculous that you would compare being a bystander to slavery to a person who you don't like. Like, how dare you? In my opinion, how dare you do that? And I'm not even really offended. I don't care. I'm not a slave. That doesn't mean that I'm not affected by slavery. I'm just saying, but it's just really wrong that someone would do that. It's just really messed up, but whatever. Okay, so I think this is the last one I'm going to do, because I think I spent a long time on that first one. All right. 4 things to say to a doctor who keeps pushing weight loss. Ooh, okay, comeback time. What treatment would you provide for a thin person who has this issue? Please don't weigh me unless it's medically necessary. It is usually medically necessary. I know we have limited time, so I'd like to focus on XYZ. I'd appreciate you asking me questions about my habits and lifestyle rather than making assumptions based on my weight. Okay, I feel like these questions aren't too argumentative, I would say. This is a bit confrontational, because it's like you're kind of assuming that they're saying something wrong to you. They're saying this based to you on being thin. But obviously it depends on what exactly is going on here. Is the doctor actually treating this person unfairly, or does this person just think that they're being treated unfairly and they just don't want to talk about their weight? Usually weighing someone is medically necessary. It's just the same as getting someone's height, knowing someone's height. It's important, when it comes to just health factors in general. And yeah, so I know we have limited time, so I'd like to focus on XYZ. I mean, if weight loss is related to whatever XYZ is, then I feel like they're on track, but I guess this person is kind of saying that the doctor is just wrong completely. If the doctor, okay, let me think of something I don't even know, let's say, okay, I have eczema. Let's say that the doctor says, oh, you should lose weight because of, and I'm like, well, I'd like to focus on talking about my eczema, even though I would go to a dermatologist for that rather than my weight loss. But it's a doctor's job when they're doing a checkup on you, if that's what this is a checkup, to mention things that are that could help you, it's their job. Let's say that I have a cancerous mole on my body, but I came there for my eczema. This is unrelated to my weight. And they said, oh, you have a cancerous mole, we should get that checked out. And it's like, no, I don't think so. I just came here for my eczema, and I know that I'm making a bit of a exaggeration, because obviously somebody's going to be more inclined to listen to about cancer rather than weight loss, because, cancer is that big, bad word, that is an awful disease, and it's really, scary. But the thing is that most doctors, at least with this question, Like, I was confused with this question. I feel like most doctors do ask about someone's lifestyle and habit when we're asking them to lose weight. They're saying like, what do you usually eat? Do you work out? Those kinds of questions, because they're pertinent to weight and how it affects it. And so usually they're going to suggest ways that the person could change that. So it's like, I feel like they do, like, you telling them to ask you questions about habit and lifestyle, it's like, yeah, they're just going to ask those questions. But yeah, like, if the doctor is actually focusing on your weight loss and it's not a checkup and you're there for something else, I don't know. I don't see the problem with that, because it's like, if you do need to lose weight, and this person probably thinks you don't, but if you do need to lose weight and you're there for something else, but the doctor sees that, and the thing is, if the doctor just focuses on that and doesn't pay any attention to whatever you came in for, that's wrong. I would say that. But if the doctor mentions that, and pushes it, I guess, because I don't think there's anything wrong with that, as long as they're helping you with whatever other problem you have as well. But it's their job to help you with your overall health, even if it's not a checkup. But yeah, that's all I have to say today. I'm tired and I'm hungry, so I'm gonna have my breakfast. I'm tired and hungry. But yeah, I enjoyed doing this. I'm a little tired. I already said that. Oh my God, I'm so cringy. But I enjoyed doing this video again. I don't think I've done it in a little bit. But yeah, I don't really know what I say at the end of these videos. But I hope that if you're overweight, I hope that you are, and you want to lose weight, you're losing weight and you're taking those pounds off in a healthy, sustainable way. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.